program includes... Very good. So you got the program, all of you, so I'm not going to repeat it, including the people online. I am sure I will just very quickly introduce Karl Magnusson, who will welcome us. Thank you so much. He's the Chief of Staff and Deputy Director General of the National Museums of World Culture here in Sweden. Thank you so much to be here and to have accepted to say a few words for us. Thank you.
So, thank you for that, Professor Henry. Yeah, that's me. And we have a slightly odd logo there, but anyways, again, dear colleagues, dear friends, most welcome. Both today at the Museum of Mediterranean and Near Eastern Antiquities, and yesterday you spent the day at the Museum of Ethnography. The National Museums are so happy to host this event, of course. It is important, it's dedicated, as you know, to find further ways for cultural heritage protection. Our organization is the main custodian of the international cultural heritage in Sweden. We host collections from all over the world, archaeological, ethnographical, art historical, photos, and archival materials. We want to be humble in relation to the fact that the presence of these collections and objects in Sweden is, for good and bad, an expression of a shared history with different stakeholders and source communities all over the world. Through dialogue and joint efforts, we try to move forward in this sometimes difficult and painful circumstances. Some years ago, our organization received a special assignment from the government to raise awareness of different threats to cultural heritage, such as illicit trafficking and destruction in times of armed conflicts. From our side, my colleague Maria Dahlström has a key position in this, and we do this in collaboration with the Swedish National Commission for UNESCO, ICONEM Sweden, the Swedish National Heritage Board, as well as the Swedish Police and Customs. Representatives from some of those organizations are present here today, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for good cooperation over the years. The work to protect cultural heritage has become increasingly important as political and social unrest in the world grows. It must take place at different levels, from the regulation of the highest multilateral bodies to the concrete observation of individual people in everyday life. Therefore, the work you have carried out this week is very important, and I'm more than eager to hear the results coming out from the presentations and discussions today. So by that, I wish you a fruitful day and leave the floor again to Professor Henry. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a quick introduction, if she needs to. I'm not sure she really needs to. Introducing Véronique Chankowski. Véronique Chankowski is at the heart of the creation of this ANCHISE project. Many people already know her from her research. She's a very internationally recognized professor of Greek history. She's also the director of the French school in Athens, and she's been extraordinarily active to make this happen. I mean, this ANCHISE project, and for which we all gathered today. So Véronique is online, as you know. This is a hybrid event. So Véronique, I am leaving you the floor.
Thank you, Olivier. Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to welcome you for this ANCHISE Symposium, and I'm happy also to greet our colleagues from Sweden who are welcoming us. Unfortunately, as you know, I'm unable to be with you due to many commitments as a director of the French School at Athens. We're a research center in archaeology, humanities, and social sciences, and we're developing research programs, training, and fellowships in Greece, but also in the Balkans and East Mediterranean. So I'm not with you, but we have a lot of and strong connections with Swedish archaeology here in Athens, because there is also a Swedish Archaeological Institute there. And I know that hosting this ANCHISE Symposium and welcoming the demonstrations and all our teams that took place just before is hard work, and especially when it comes to providing data from museums. But it's all for a good cause, the fight against illicit trafficking and the protection of cultural heritage. So I'm delighted that this collaboration has been fruitful. I've been informed of the great success of this entire week, and I would like to thank all the colleagues that have made this possible, and especially all those who are hosting now our activities in Sweden. So thank you so much. Have a nice conference and hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Véronique. So it's my turn to give a few words. The goal of this word is to present you the ANCHISE project. And I'd like to start by saying, and it would not be a big surprise for you to hear, that not everybody sees eye to eye on the necessity of protecting our common cultural heritage and its material culture. Because for some, and hopefully most, it is a witness of our roots, a collection of our abilities over time, a stratigraphy of our history that evolved, changed, crumbled, reborn over centuries of upheavals, marked by countless cultural interactions, great discoveries, and humanity's breakthrough. It is an expression of our forefathers' heart, daily life, and death. It is often also a mark of acquired knowledge, developed over countless lifetimes, our knowledge, although sometimes also a witness of know-how forever lost in the limb of history. And this material culture, whether it is sheltered in our museum or still resting in the ground of our archaeological sites, are living memories of our ancestors, and through them of the construction of our modern societies in the wealth of their diversities. Each of these artifacts represents a tiny piece of the complex historical puzzle that tells the story of what we are made of, a puzzle that, when completed, tells us where we come from and who we are. Hence, harming this cultural heritage is a blow to history, to our history, and with each artifact that disappears, whether it is destroyed, looted, or stolen, it is a part of our common history that disappears with it. Protecting this material culture and transmitting it to future generations is a duty that must, of course, be carried on, just like Aeneas carrying his father Anchises away from Troy and saving him from a planned and systematic destruction. Well, this awareness and this duty, which seem kind of obvious today, is nonetheless pretty new in the history of mankind. But maybe it is new because it has never been so threatened. It started with the mass destruction of cultural heritage provoked, weirdly, by the Industrial Revolution, which first provided the machinery to tear down entire buildings in a moment or to plow deeper and harder our fields. It continued with the major war, conflict, and terrorism of the 20th and 21st centuries, which provided the means to blow practically anything people wanted to blow for political, philosophical, tactical, or strategical reasons. And the more it was destroyed, the more its value increased. And the more valuable it became, the more, of course, it attracted interest of third parties looting and trafficking it. And then the more challenging it became to try and protect it. Well, the ANCHISE project aims at taking up this challenge. Funded by the European Union, ANCHISE is the heir of previous projects funded by the EU, such as Provision, Agir, Nose, Picture, and Nature, and aims at creating a solid platform. Its general ambition is to put together an operational network of professional communities, archaeologists, museum professionals, and law enforcement agencies gathered in the fight against illicit trafficking and beneficiating from each other's knowledge, expertise, and means. By putting our force together and collaborating on a European level, we will be able to bring a new approach to this fight and also provide, hopefully, insight and guidance to the European Commission through policy briefs. And in this aspect, ANCHISE is working in really close connection with a large users board and is heavily relying on a network of practitioners interacting with community engagement institutions. But networking is only one of the challenges, because our world is more and more globalized, and because looters and traffickers are often at the cutting edge of technology, ANCHISE also aims at addressing this issue of trafficking on a global scale using cutting-edge technologies. And in order to address this issue, ANCHISE includes a large team of technology providers from all over Europe to help develop a multitasking toolbox for our communities. In this spirit, the ANCHISE Consortium is working on the development of 6 interacting tools, from image recognition to web crawler. The tool developed by ICONEM enhances the efficacy of archaeological sites monitoring and heritage preservation efforts. This includes global solutions for 3D photogrammetric scanning and satellite imagery analysis for detection, characterization, and dating of possible traces of illicit excavation and other looting activities. The Kikumun tool, developed by Fraunhofer, is a tool for monitoring the online trade of stolen or looted cultural artifacts. Targeted sales platforms are monitored and searched by internet crawlers using keywords and photos provided by original owners, and similar objects are identified by image matching technology. The tool developed by INNOV, the SFS spectroscopy, will measure the amount of light of different colors that is reflected from the paper with a technology called spectral fluorescence signature, hence the SFS. The light emission profile will afterward be analyzed by a neural network to provide a production date for the paper. The artifact tool, some of you have seen it yesterday, uses image recognition and object database in order to identify cultural looted and stolen objects via pictures. It allows to link this object to potential endangered cultural object list, and it is a mobile application and can be used on the field and or in central services. The ArtCH tool, developed by ICCS, will serve as the bridge between raw data and actionable insights, since it's a cutting-edge solution designed to revolutionize the way we combat the trafficking of cultural heritage. The primary objectives of this tool are to provide advanced data analysis, predicted capabilities, cross-referencing and verification, and interconnected network. And finally, the Guardian CH tool, developed by CYI, is a database that would be used for data organization, acquisition, and exploitation. It relies heavily on a metadata structure for the description of various archaeological categories. And the shared database is providing online access segmented by users' categories and will allow for better data and information sharing among stakeholders. In addition, the shared database will provide access to selected tools to combat illicit trafficking of the selected archaeological categories. But networking and technologies are only two of the challenges. To fight something, we must need to understand its strength and its weaknesses, how it works and operates, and especially the socio-economical context which nurture or trigger or accelerate the trafficking and the looting. This is why ANCHISE also includes a large research group of universities and researchers deeply involved in the analysis and the understanding of illegal trafficking of cultural heritage. The result is a consortium of 15 partners with very various expertise, which involve technology, of course, cultural heritage, social sciences, security, and communication, which are organized within a platform of 4 interacting blocks: a research group, a group of technology providers, a group of practitioners, and a group of community engagement. With such a consortium, we are able to create a platform that is establishing a technology watch to evaluate and adopt new technological breaks, developing cutting-edge object recognition technologies, conducting as well a study of sociological and economic context of illicit trafficking through research in social sciences and field experimentation. Through such a project, our objective is to be recognized as the reference platform for practitioners concerning the assessment of worldwide technologies and the early adoption of solutions that bring added value and positive cost-benefit analysis. And this can only be achieved if the platform is able to be fully integrated into civil society for the service of heritage protection. And this is why we decided to adopt a bottom-up approach. The idea is that we should start from the ground. I mean, in some archaeological field, literally from the ground, and work with the people closest to the threat, directly in contact with the trafficking, as close as possible to the field realities, and equip them with technological tools that would answer their practical needs, not our view about it. And in parallel, we are especially attentive to the level of replicability of our tools and approach so that it would continue after the EU funding stops.
So thank you very much. So for today, I will introduce you on the research of ANCHISE, so what has been done so far, and also the future perspectives. So the objective of the project is to identify technologies, tools, and methods, what we will call TTMs, that can be implemented in the illicit trafficking combat, ITC, and then upscale it. And also to assess their adoption by the law enforcement and the cultural heritage professionals that are involved in this fight. These objectives are conducted on 3 levels that are the main one that we identified in the illicit trafficking investigation. That is the prevention. So, for example, TTMs that are used for the early identification of illegal excavations or looting. Then the stoppage, like, for example, TTMs for stopping the extraction of cultural heritage goods from their country of origin. And then, of course, the discovery, like TTMs for discovering stolen objects that are already put in the market. So to do that, research is very important. It's at the base of all the ANCHISE activities. So in this framework, an important aspect of the research is to identifying the needs of the stakeholders that are involved in the illicit trafficking combat in order to produce, to create, to develop effective solutions, both at the technical and at the social level. So this research converged into one of our first activities of the project. That was a workshop on user needs and gaps in the current technologies, tools, and methods offer. So the workshop gathered more than 80 participants from several countries to assess the needs of those working in the field. That also, I mean, they shared their insights on what they would have helped them to fight the illicit trafficking. We identified the critical issues during this workshop. Like, for example, the participants emphasized the value of digital technologies in monitoring the archaeological sites. The importance of international cooperation and the need for stronger national and international also legal frameworks for protection and repatriation. But also the importance of involving the community and allow their participation in safeguarding the cultural heritage. And then, of course, the need for cross-border cooperation and information and data sharing in order to track also these stolen artifacts. But also this workshop emphasized the need of a continuous development of specific technologies in order to identify, track, and repatriate stolen cultural objects. But before developing effective solutions and specific technologies to detect, track, and repatriate the stolen cultural objects, an important aspect that we carried out within the project was to identify the practices along the three axes of the project, as well as the limitations that they have. And we did this through a qualitative and quantitative analysis, like, for example, questionnaires and interviews. But to do so, we also identified a series of criteria to evaluate and analyze these TTMs available in the illicit trafficking combat. So this included also the identification of transversal criteria. Imagine, like, for example, friendliness of the tool or compatibility with other systems. And then, of course, also vertical criteria that are connected also with the access of ANCHISE, such as, for example, if it has a pattern recognition or if has alerting features. So this kind of analysis. So this research led to the development of a list of TTMs available on the market and the evaluation criteria. And we integrated everything in a survey that was born also from the collaboration of different professionals in the illicit trafficking combat. So we identified several tools, methods, technologies, and we gave the possibility to the users, to the stakeholders, to respond to this survey, and also give some suggestion if they know other tools that we, for example, we didn't consider. This survey will run until July 2025. So I invite you to participate in the survey if you didn't do it so far, because this will help us to further investigate tools that are available for potential adoption, for example, also in the future in the under the ANCHISE umbrella, but also to continue the research and develop effective technological solutions. So, as I previously mentioned, the research in ANCHISE is not only at the technical level, but is also investigating the sociological and economic aspects of the illicit trafficking of cultural heritage for the development of these effective solutions that I mentioned before. So the specific research converged in the first international symposium titled The Economic and Social Context of Illicit Trafficking in Archaeological Artifacts, with many speakers, communications, and in front of a diverse audience of more than 200 people, were presented these aspects of the illicit trafficking combat. So the main goal of this conference was to investigate the broad socioeconomic context which favors the traffic of cultural goods in some specific areas like the Euro-Mediterranean zone, through also specific studies linked to a particularly or specific phenomenon. These are the sessions that were at the symposium. So the political economy and sociology of trafficking cultural goods, cross views, archaeology facing the looting and trafficking in the Mediterranean and the Middle East areas. Then also the actors and roads, the circulation and the money laundering. And finally, also the art market and fight against illicit trafficking, findings and perspectives. The final publication is under preparation, and it will be soon available to the community. So similarly, the sessions that we had at the ICASEM Congress titled Combating Illicit Trafficking and Looting of Cultural Heritage also gathered various experts who looked at the problem from different perspectives, so sociology, archaeology, and law, but all of them focused on the impact of technology and the impact of technology on the fight against the illicit trade in cultural goods. So the speakers also in this case underlined the need not only of using digital and analytical tools, but also focusing on the creation of approaches and strategies. And there were discussed several issues like the source countries, activities, the sociological analysis of the phenomenon online. So the discussion highlighted also the importance of the multidisciplinary collaboration in the fight. But the multidisciplinary collaboration brings along also an important challenge, that is the one of sharing information about the looted and trafficked cultural goods. So for an effective sharing of the needed information is necessary a rich description. Because having a rich description of heritage assets is particularly crucial in combating the illicit trafficking. So detailed and rich documentation, especially for what concerns the heritage asset provenance, provides essential information for identifying the stolen objects on the market, for example, helping all the stakeholders to act and to enhance their efforts to recover and repatriate the looted cultural objects. But to have this detailed description means also to guarantee a common semantic way of standardization and harmonization of the information. So an important part of the ANCHISE research focuses on this topic of the standardization of the data, because we know that different institutions can use different way of description, of describing. So it's essential to create an accessible, structured, and interoperable way for tracking and sharing information. And in particular, this work was presented recently at the Euromed conference in Cyprus, and also the related publication is under review, so soon will be published. And then also the research on data documentation and standardization is also part of a collaborative effort with Europol through the participation in this core group on illicit trafficking of cultural goods. And because the professional backgrounds plays a strong role, for example, in the way we use also words for describing an object. So it's very important not to lead to misunderstanding of what we are talking about. And there is therefore an urgent need for a ground on a common language, what is called taxonomy, for example. So the core group brought together several specialists to bring up the problems and share also their solutions. A specific attention was drawn to the necessity to collaborate, for example, with the other European funded projects for the illicit trafficking combat, to develop also proof methodologies and giving more room to debates on taxonomy or other semantic tools like thesauri, or for example, metadata standards, like we saw also yesterday, the ICONEM object ID metadata standard, that is one of the core tool for describing the illicit trafficking combat objects. So this part of the research brings directly to the tool set developed by ANCHISE, where also the harmonized structures of the tools guarantee the interoperability of the tools and the exchange of information. And of course, the consequent search and retrieval of data by different users and stakeholders that are involved in the combat of the illicit trafficking of cultural goods. So we see with an harmonized structure of the tools, interoperability for exchanging information, ingest and retrieve, and access for all the users and the stakeholders involved in this fight. But finally, this interoperability brings also ANCHISE in a wider perspective, with the integration of the results in the current research landscape of the European initiatives, such as, for example, the European Cloud for Cultural Heritage, the Data Space, and the European Research Infrastructure for Cultural Heritage, in order to have dedicated solutions to the aggregation of data, tools, and services that are aimed, of course, to the preservation of cultural heritage. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Valentina. Good morning, everyone. For those here in presence and for those that are with us online. Today, in common with our colleague Marine Lechanault from the French Police College Research Laboratory, that we are consortium members, will present a small talk to provide an overview of ANCHISE demonstration protocol. And we would like to share some lessons that we learned from this experience. As a reminder, ANCHISE aims at developing a series of 6 state-of-the-art tools that will increase the surveillance of archaeological endangered by looting, identification of ancient artifacts, and traffic network by law enforcement agency, as well as a general repository of stolen goods. The demonstrations are a key step with respect to this goal. So they aim to deliver a hands-on training session that you already experienced during the first and second demonstration. To use different tools by different tools owners, to use the project toolbox in a simulated near-real operational environment, and as said before by my colleagues, to collect feedback on it so that the tools can be refined until the next series of the demonstrations. The demonstrations allows testing the tools developed, bringing together a large amount of stakeholders, and implying several key aspects such as research, logistic, of course, financial management, legal requirements, administration, and last but not the least, the communication, which is a key part. The technological tools are designed to meet several kinds of requirements related to professional practices, fields, and context of uses. Consequently, 3 experimentation areas are addressed, as you already know, and take part: the archaeological sites, the museums, and the borders, third, aerial, land, and maritime borders. For each, 3 testing sessions were scheduled, at least 1 to organize. So in total, 9 demonstrations in the lifetime of the project. The pilot experimentations are organized on this different testing grounds related to the protection and detection of floating places of cultural goods and the protection and detection of stolen goods in private and public cultural institutions, of course, with the focus on the museum and museum collections. Aiming to use the project toolbox in simulated near-real operational environment, we collect relevant key information from you, our project partners and stakeholders, and define the approach for the organization and rollout of the demonstration sessions. This encompasses activities such as the identification and verification of availability of the demonstration fields, the confirmation of the dates in accordance with the project plan, and the definition of the number of demonstration sessions per testing grounds. The appropriate end users identified, and for each of pilot experimentation, as well as the according tools from the project toolbox. In liaison with the tool owners, a beta version of each tool to be tested needs to be made available for the testing session. That's why every time during the workshops, we are using this beta version in order to test it and to improve it after receiving your feedbacks. To get involved in the demos, a specific range of expert stakeholders is targeted, covering key areas in expertise. Among them, we are archaeologists, cultural heritage professionals, law enforcement agencies. In addition, and in order to enrich this experimentation, ANCHISE demonstrations are scheduled in various European areas such as Balkans, Greece, where took place our first demonstration, Scandinavia, and we thank you again for your help to organize it. And the next one will be on Western Europe, as Olivier said before, on the Balkans. Today I would like to walk with you through the definition of methodology of tool demonstration. And first, let's take a look at the structure of this timeline. You'll notice that it's a present staircase, symbolizing the step-by-step progression towards the final implementation of our tool. Each step represents a project month, moving from the 9th to the 35th. And right now, we are at this point. Oh, it's demo 2. I don't see the cursor. It should be, we are right here. Signifying that our current position, it's in this project. Now, let's break down to the milestones. Our journey begins with the 4th one, where we engaged with the stakeholders, followed by the 5th, where the prototypes of the tools are developed, and next we reach the 6th one, where we conduct a seminar to execute the demonstration and the pilot test, and here we are today. Once we complete training session in the milestones number 7, we arrived at date 1, and the 2nd forum will be dedicated to path to exploration and policy recommendations. Through this timeline, we have 3 major demonstration phases. The first one scheduled and organized kept in September 24 in Thessaloniki and Amphipolis. The demonstration number 2 that is taking place now in Scandinavia, in Kalmar, Öland, and in Stockholm. And finally, the 3rd one planned for September. This demonstration represents our refined and will be validated tool demonstration. To ensure continuous evaluation and refinement, we have several reports and studies accompanying these phases. What this timeline clearly illustrates is that our process, it's not linear, it is iterative. Feedback loops are embedded at the very stage to ensure that each demonstration phase builds upon the learnings of the previous one. To ensure that by the time we reach our final phase, our tools are optimized for real-world application. So, as we move forward, our focus should be on active engagement, rigorous evaluation, and continuous improvement. By following this structure and methodological approach, we can ensure that our tool will have a lasting impact. And my colleague Marine will join us to comment the next slide. Thank you, Marine, for being with us.
Thank you very much, Mariana. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. So yes, regarding the protocol and the methodology, it is important to say that the first demonstration has lasted 2 full days. The next one's duration is rather 1 day. That may seem quite short, but in both cases, it means a huge amount of work, time, and people involved before the day of the demonstration. Consequently, significant attention must be paid to early identification of requirements and to the definition of workflows. This is a condition to hope getting the best value of this unique moment of work that gave us such a highly skilled audience in inspiring places around technological solutions. One major step achieved in methodology was the submission of a report that paved the way towards all demonstrations scheduled in the project lifetime. Specifications were provided for each of the 3 experimentation areas, together with a timeline for actions to be performed before, during, and after a demonstration. It also implies continuous dialogues with host institutions and audience, identification of requirements, agenda, logistics, documentation and templates, communication rules. Due to the variety of the professional and cultural contexts addressed, the demonstrations appear as a meeting point between ANCHISE technological development and the project studies in humanities and social sciences. Could you please? Yes, thank you so much. The first demonstration of ANCHISE technological tools took place in the Museum of Byzantine Culture of Thessaloniki and in Amphipolis Archaeological Site and Museum in Greece on Thursday 26 and Friday 27 September 2024. It has involved a pluridisciplinary audience of nearly 100 people from 10 different European countries as hosts, organizers, and participants. The attendees came from diverse relevant sectors, such as field archaeology, museum management, and law enforcement, gathered to explore and to assess the innovative technological tools developed within ANCHISE to combat illicit trafficking of cultural heritage. Time slots were dedicated to collect feedbacks on the tools. Although some of these tools are dedicated to one of the 3 professional fields concerned by illicit activities, archaeology, museum, law enforcement, we sought to gather representatives of this field during the first demonstration in order to enhance the necessary transdisciplinary approach against looting, developing networking and discussion between experts from various horizons or geographies. The regions chosen for this very first demonstration of ANCHISE tools offered 3 key points which contribute to the success. A major archaeological site, this Amphipolis, internationally renowned museum, such as the Museum of Byzantine Culture, and a decisive geographical position experiencing intense international interaction. So this is all for me, and now I give back the floor to my colleague Mariana.
Thank you, and for what's coming soon for the ANCHISE project. The next demonstration will take place, as said, in Balkans, as the demonstration number 2 for aerial border took place in Roissy-Charles de Gaulle Airport on 28th of March, and the museum we saw yesterday all together, and for Kalmar Öland we participated on the 1st of April. Lastly, a few lessons were learned during these 2 demonstration sessions as follows, and the first one is the dialogue between organizers and hosting institutions, including when data management is involved. ANCHISE, it's honored and glad of cooperation built in the framework of the project with such high-level units all across Europe. And we would like to take this symposium opportunity to thank you again, representative from Sweden and from Greece here present. The end users' needs and feedbacks, the demonstrations are built so that the attendees who belong to the professional communities previously mentioned can get as close as possible to the tools and interact with the teams. It is also important to dedicate time to feedbacks, and we understood that the time is always not enough to share our impression and requirements. So the parts of the improvement, if any, may be identified, and it goes for the contents, but also for the organization itself. And logistics, of course. As each demonstration, it's a complex event. Good international cooperation is highly required in order to meet requirements and to ensure the smooth implementation. And in order to share with you our first results, it is my pleasure now to invite on the floor Dr. Titien Bartette, and he will tell you more about the first results. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariana. Good morning, everybody. So my name is Titien Bartette. I'm scientific director at ECONEM, and we are one of the technological partners in the project ANCHISE, focusing on archaeological sites and globally cultural heritage sites at risk and threatened or actually looted. So we have this particularity that we are working on the field and not on objects. And considering the tool that we are developing, the only way to really demonstrate what we do actually is to go deeper into a case study. So not only demonstrating the tool, but demonstrating the results on the sites that were chosen for demonstration.
Is that copyright is probably more about private interests.
I gone? Okay. Then, first results. The first demonstration, as I said, Mariana, was on both on Thessaloniki Museum and Amphipolis Archaeological Site and Museum. Our process combine 3D digitization. That's what we do at ICONEM. So large scale and very high definition digitization of cultural heritage sites. We spent 4 days on the field. We were between 2 to 3 people, as I count only for half a person. We took there during these 4 days around 30,000 photos, and that results in 232 million points. You can see the first results. So these are the images of the first alignment of the 3D model of the main area that we focused on at Amphipolis. You can distinguish some spots, white spots and yellow spot that symbolize the photo that were taken. And you can imagine the amount of data and the amount of photo that have to be considered to rebuild these sites. Going further, that was for the process on site that we conducted during the demonstration, and after this field survey, we calculated the site. So there is a lot of process to consider and a lot of steps, reprocessing photo and calculating the data set, geolocalizing everything, and being sure that each of the area can connect together to have a whole 3D model of the site and large scale and this high definition that we are aiming to reach. And you have a view of the 3D platform, one of the tools that we're building, that we're enhancing in the framework of ANCHISE. So this is the tool to explore the 3D model and combine it with other kind of data as satellite images and other results. In terms of development of new features, we worked on, we wanted to enhance this experience with the ability to gather and visualize different kind of data. So you can see here different kind of visualization and texture option of the point cloud itself, textures, non-texture, or height map, and others, overlaying archive photo and being able to geolocalize this archive photo, so to distinguish some changes that occurred on the site, overlaying some aerial data, I will say, so satellite images, digital surface model, digital elevation models, LiDAR data, some things like that. And these new features were taken into consideration after the first feedbacks that we had after the first demonstration. And also the projective texturing option, so you can project the colorimetric information of an archive photo directly onto your 3D model. Now, the second half of what we work on, satellite images. Again, so we have these two aspects, and the finality is to cross all this data and to be able to enhance visibility and readability. I don't know if this word exists, but the being able to detect better, taking advantage of what we built with the 3D model, so digital surface elevation, as I said, slopes information, all this kind of significantly changes in the topography or on the site, overlaid with satellite images. And concerning satellite images, so we are building a tool to compare these different images, to take into consideration the time and the occurrence of these traces that appeared. For this purpose and going deeper into analysis of the site of Amphipolis and using our tools, we were able to detect around 80 significant changes starting from 2012. All are not looting traces, I hope, at least, but significant changes that should conduct to a field verification or a 3D verification or a deeper analysis. From these 80 significant changes, 15% could be observed on 3D models. So that means that this, even if they were from 2018 for the first one that are concerned, the stigmas were still visible in 2024. On the 3D model itself, also, we could detect some of these significant changes in the landscape, so pits, trenches, and other kind of dig conducted. And again, one of the improvements that we were able to do following the first demonstration was to document these traces. So by being able to produce automatically some cuts, profiles, to export them with the grid, with the metric information, and the geolocalization of each of them. That's just one of the options, but you can also make like a stratigraphy survey or other kind of producing traditional graphic data, I would say, through this new technology or virtual and digital technology. I'm going now to the second demonstration that took place 3 days ago, 2 days ago, I don't remember. So we were, some of you were there too, in Kalmar, and more precisely in Holland, the island of Kalmar, where one site actually was selected at the beginning, Ismantorp fortress that you can see on the left image. After a first recognition field mission in late January, we discussing with Jan Henrik that hosted us, we discovered that other sites were concerned and other sites were of interest and deserved a monitoring also. So we decided to add Sandbyborg, the fortress near the coastline that is also threatened by the sea level rise and coastal risk, and Karum, the necropolis that Olivier likes pretty much. Well, we spent 3 to 4 days again on the field. We were 1 to 2 people, actually, 1 person, 2 people. Again, I'm just half a person, as I was with you for a day, and we took a certain amount of photo. I don't know how much. I don't know, largely, if you already know, but it's consequent, and that hasn't been totally calculated yet. But we have the preliminary visual result, at least, of the first alignment, just to check the data and the spatial overlapping of the photo that were taken following our protocol. So here you can see 3 photo. 2 of them are the same. Never mind. 3 photo. I'm not cheating. 3 photo, 2 of Kalmar, 1 of 2 of Ismantorp, 1 of Kalmar. And again, the first results of what were observed either on satellite analysis before the field mission, is either during the field survey a few days ago when we were on the sites, or having a first look at the study models. So these are all the blue dots. They can be depression, holes, ancient holes, maybe also ancient archaeological excavation. So we will try to map also the archaeological excavation information to be sure that we can exclude these traces. And that's it. What we will do on these sites is adding some LiDAR data, because there is a national coverage in Sweden. So we will take into consideration also this spatial information. And next step for us is in Sicily at Monte Casassia, where we will be in May for the field mission, because September apparently it's too hot for us to, and it could be a little difficult. So we will separate the field mission from the demonstration, and hopefully in September we will have much more to show on these 3 case studies. Thank you very much, and I think I give now the floor to Axel.
Thank you, Titien. How are you doing? Good. I would be less spectacular and graphic than my friend Titien, so I'm going about results. It will be my pleasure to discuss with you a little bit with feedbacks, because you give us feedbacks, so we taking this into account. Second, I'm also, again, very grateful of all the support of the Swedish people that welcome us. It's very wonderful. So let's go. From our last session in Greece, some results have been published. As you know, you've been experienced this. There's an independent prestataire, contractual, that comes with you and talks to you. So it's very independent. We don't have the results. And then he gives us a very large report. So I've prepared 60 slides to present to you with graphics. No, sorry. You want to have this coffee break. But yes, it's very useful for us. Sometimes it's very nice to see, and sometimes you're like, oh, maybe I missed the point, or maybe I was not ready enough. Okay, so it's very useful for us. So I'll go very not into detail and very briefly into this. Of course, there were some positive feedback. We have some strengths. We are globally well received. We have tools that have, immediate applicable demands. People are saying, if we could have this now, it would be very good. So it needs to be deployed. That's a very good sign, because we have the conviction that we didn't miss the product. There was no tool that was like, people like, I don't know. So it's very nice to see. And of course, it sounds very innovative and promising. And these are the feedbacks that you gave us. And it's very rewarding. But of course, there's also areas of improvement, which for some of them could be challenges, and we have already addressed that. First of all is data expansion. So I could spend an hour here talking about data. So I'm not going to do this, but this is the core thing. So it's kind of a, it's a car, we need fuel. Okay, without fuel, you have a very nice car, but you can't go anywhere. And this is the same with all tools. And data expansion is, of course, our capacity to integrate data, our capacity to really gather them in standardized, interoperable ways, but also your capacity of giving this to us. And of course, you've done a tremendous work with the access of your database, 450,000 objects. It's huge, and thank you very much. But of course, capacity expansions. Capacity expansions means the capacity of the tools to be effective, to have features which are going into the right direction. And that requires a lot of work with artificial intelligence, with coding, so all of the things you don't see behind, and you say, oh, they should have this button here, but actually this button takes 6 weeks of developments. And sometimes it's difficult for us to explain that some things are very easy to do, and for you, they look very complex. And some of the things which are very simple are very complex. Of course, more user-friendly interface. Yesterday, some of you say, I can't click on that button here. And that's the result we need. That's the feedback we need, because if we don't do that, nobody will use the things. And like Pierre Giacomo said yesterday, I'm one of the most, I'm the least capable person with an app. I always fat finger things. So I am the guy that says, if that works for me, that should work for everybody else. And of course, sometimes even as I said yesterday, and some of the friends said it also, sometimes some of our features are not friendly. So we need to integrate that and develop that. And of course, better data integration. So it means the capacity that for you to give us data very quickly, to implement them in the system. For example, stolen objects or objects to track on the web, that will be implemented by you instead of a heavy process with Excel files and sorts. But of course, it's kind of a good way to go in this direction. So as you have known from September, this was in Greece last year, we have tried to apply these feedbacks already. So hopefully you have seen some improvement in the tools for some of you who were in Greece. You have seen some improvement in the tools, some more features, and hopefully it's visible. So your next feedbacks will state that. We have implied more data set. It may be not showing too much, but we have more crawlers with Kikumon. We have more fusion data with some of, and you have seen the marvelous features of Guardian CH with the mapping system, which is very nice when you can map different kind of categories. It's very good. And of course, you have seen more data in Artifact with more alert list. Of course, you want more features, you want more functionalities, and it's an improvement that we have made, but also we need to be in line with the frame of the project, because on ANCHISE, we want this to stay for next 10, 20 years, but it will stop eventually in 26, which is something we have to get. So the things that you want us to implement have to match this budget and time frame, TTMs, time to market. So it's also something that we have to consider. So we will give you feedback in the next demo of what you want and what we can do and how we have prioritized this. Of course, we have refocused functionalities. Some of them were not focused enough on your needs. So it was, for example, in Roissy, in Paris, some of the tools have refocused. And of course, we hopefully have a better interface. There's always things to improve. Again, rapidly, I will go to this direction. We need to be able to match our developing capacities, your needs, and the budget and the time frame. So for this, it's very important that we go into this networking. Yesterday, we have maybe thought about a new feature around a dinner, because we French, we think the world is made around a table, lunch table. I don't know, a beer for some people from other countries, but it's very important. Networking is part of things. We cannot invent, as Sophie said, if we don't work with museums, there's no way we're going to provide a tool for museum. Okay, we need your feedback. And so for the next time, because that was a concern, sustainability. We will present you next demonstration. We will also not only go to technique, but also say to you, okay, to be sustainable, this is the steps we need. This is the budget we need. We have to talk about that. To go from prototypes to market, to go from something which is an idea, a PowerPoint, to something you can use. And this is going to be very concrete. So we will eventually be able to mark these steps in the next demo or in September. You will have a concrete plan. And this is very important for you because you've heard about all these tools that disappeared. And we don't want to disappear. So we're going to give you a roadmap. We're going to integrate more with each other. You've seen Valentina talking about this. You're going to see integration between the tools. We are not separate tools. We all go to the same direction. And of course, we're going to try to integrate more data sets when they are available. And of course, we're going to work on this interface to avoid little bugs and little things. We're going to do this. But frankly speaking, it's a very rewarding journey. We have the idea that we fall into the category of what they call impact technology that would change the way you work, or what they call general purpose technology, GPT. But of course, as you say, general purpose technology are not the ones where the business invests a lot, so we need your support in your institutions to help us to go through all of this journey. So thank you very much for this. It was I hope condensed feedback, and I would like to see you around the coffee in a minute. Thank you.
Thank you very much to my fellow colleagues, Valentina, Mariana, Marin, Titien, and Axel. Obviously, I mean, in this kind of symposium, we cannot present you everything. I mean, for example, we chose one tool of the 6, and well, Titien was there, so we said, okay, come and present us your tool. So as you know, now we're going to have a coffee break, half an hour. Very important, and if I don't say that, I'm going to get into trouble. When you finish your coffee, you leave it there. You don't bring it here, otherwise they'll stab me. Okay? So see you in 30 minutes. Sorry? Yeah, see you in 30 minutes, 11:15. Thank you very much. And we're on time. Publications. Okay.
So, good morning, everyone. So I know that you just had some coffee, so I'm coming in right fresh, and that's really good. I've been asked to talk a bit about what we are planning for our dissemination and for the scientific publications that we're planning, and also the policy recommendations. I'm Marco Fiore, as you can see from the screen. Michael Cultural Association is one of the ANCHISE partners, and we are in charge of the communication and dissemination and the policy part of ANCHISE. So, did it change? Yes, it changed. Great. This was just to show you an overview of what is happening right now. The project lasts 3 years. And for us, it's always really important to kind of separate the moment of communication and dissemination. When we talk about communication is that we want to propel the project and what we intend to do, what is the rationale behind the project, who are the actively involved partners in the project, and then we want to raise awareness on the stakes. That's in this specific case, the fight against illicit trafficking and looting of cultural goods. So 2023 and beginning of 2024 was really an important part and was really consecrated to this, to communicate about what ANCHISE was about and what we were planning. Then a pivotal moment that changed everything was the forum in 2024, in April 2024. I think it was exactly 1 year ago. And that moment began the shift to the dissemination phase. So that in the dissemination, what we want to do is really showcase what we are doing, what has been done, the tools and the knowledge, and also the policy recommendations, the policy development that are gaining momentum. And also we want to start thinking about what's beyond the 3 years of the project and the needs of the communities that we learned to learn, and we started to know, and we developed our knowledge and in more depth. And of course, throughout this whole communication and dissemination process, there is the raising awareness on the problem, which is crucial in this domain, as you know. So for us was really a multi-level approach that we had. Concerning the scientific publications are a very important part of this sharing our knowledge. ANCHISE, you've been seeing it in the symposium. It's really about also creating knowledge and experiencing with communities together. I wanted to show you before what the publications that are upcoming and that are sure to happen. Let's say, because we already have some dates for the publication. We have our contribution to Euromed 2024 that is led by Cyprus Institute, Ecole, française, and PARCS. And this is stemming from our presence in the conference. So these are mainly the proceedings of the conference. And the idea was to talk about the new interoperable solution for cultural heritage protection, taking the ANCHISE expertise into the field. So this is coming in March. This was submitted in March and it's coming very, very soon. The publication is happening right now on Sprinter. Then we have in May a deliverable of the project per se, the artifacts, routes, networks, endangered archaeology and trafficking of archaeological artifacts, that is led by Université de Poitiers and Ecole, française d'Athènes. And you will see that this deliverable is going to give the floor and the basis for a lot of publications that are coming, because it contains a lot of knowledge and it's stemming directly from the previous symposium that we had in 2023. And the point for us was really to collect all this knowledge and to use it in different areas, since it's quite a lot, trust me. And then we have the contribution to the Aurora publication. As you know, Aurora is our sister project in the cluster. Horizon Europe projects are funded in cluster. We have 3 projects in our cluster, and we're all touching more or less the same themes, but developing in different ways. So Aurora is one of these projects with ANCHISE, and we are going to take some parts, some elements of the deliverable that you see that is going to be published in May, and use it into this article that should be that is a call for paper, interdisciplinary approach to safeguard endangered archaeology. So Université de Poitiers and Ecole française d'Athènes are up to the task to talk about this. Then we also have some planning for publications. You might see that I really like timelines because they give you sense of direction, let's say, and a lot of things are happening right now. We are planning to, in June, to talk about mapping trafficking routes, also led by Université de Poitiers and Ecole française d'Athènes. Then I'm going to speak a little bit later about policy briefing and policy recommendation, but we want to take the knowledge of the second policy brief that is going to be centered around the data challenges and interoperability for the fight against illicit, for the creation of tools for the fight against illicit trafficking. And this content is also be used to have a publication. And then we have by Université de Lyon 2, understanding metal detecting practices. They are working on the subject, and the aim is to publish something as a scientific approach to this subject in October, November. And then December, and we are approaching the end of the project. Université de Poitiers is going to talk about the uncovering the role of the art market, which is, as you know, a very important part in the fight against illicit trafficking of cultural goods. Knowledge, and also involvement of community. Some of you might have seen the ANCHISE talks, might also have attended the ANCHISE talks, which is, let's say, a bit one of our big successes, let's say. I'm really proud of these ANCHISE talks because this is a good moment where we involve the community with around different themes. We already had 6 episodes. These are webinars of 1 hour with one expert in a specific subject, and always paired with a partner from the consortium. They exchange, and the idea is that also we open the floor to a lot of questions so that we have a community that is engaging. Also, for us, the objective is to take communities that usually are not knowledgeable in that specific field and then present them background elements on it. And it was really a good experience, and it's also going to be a good experience because we're going to keep doing that because we saw a lot of engagement coming from this. And we have other episodes coming. We are working on it. I do not have any date to share with you, unfortunately, right now. But for us, it's important that we touch other topics, and we also connect them with the technological part, which is essential in the ANCHISE project. So the submarine heritage protection, we want to delve into the subject, the sociology of illicit trafficking connected also to what Lyon 2 is doing, and also maybe I'm spoiling something that I shouldn't say, but one of the objective of the forum that is going to the final forum, we're going to have a final forum for the project, was to also to gather some journalists and media that are working in cultural heritage, that talk about cultural heritage, and see what their role could be in the fight against illicit traffic. And then dots, because this is a very open scene and we want to have new, fresh ideas. And whenever we meet with people from the communities, we realize that we need to create other webinars, and we have to delve into more into other subjects. Yes, policy recommendations. The big EU is watching us from the top of the pyramid. We are mainly in our policy work, we're conversing, dialogating with the EU and the EU policy making. This is a period because we have the policy brief. The first policy brief was really about understanding the environment, the policy environment of the illicit trafficking of cultural goods and the fight, connected fight. And then the second policy brief is going to be really about data, as I was saying, data challenges and interoperability. And then we have, from this policy brief and from all the knowledge of the project, we're going to produce some policy and professional recommendations at the end of the project. And these policy and professional recommendations are meant really to be concrete and to be direct to EU institutions if there is the need to national policies. And then the professional recommendations are very directed to you, to our communities, and what can be done on a professional level to fight against illicit trafficking, coming from our expertise in ANCHISE. And then, let's say, the third, the bottom part of the pyramid is this cluster policy recommendations. I was telling you that we are the EU projects are funded in cluster. Aurora and Enigma are the two projects with us, and we are developing some common recommendations that can have a larger view on the fight against illicit trafficking and looting. So the idea is to present this to a panel of policymakers coming from specifically EU institutions. I'm talking about the European Parliament, the European Commission, the Council of the European Union, to really see what can be done and what can be implemented quickly. And of course, we are bringing a lot of the things that we think are important in this domain. The policy brief was the first thing that the first part of the pyramid, as you see before, and the two pillars that immediately came out from the first policy brief was the first one was the need for an active policy in the field of illicit trafficking of cultural goods. So, and specifically harnessing the interdisciplinarity. And then the second pillar is raising awareness to specific communities also. It's the professionals, the cultural heritage professionals that should really know at large scale what they can do in this domain, and also basically knowing about this domain. The art market professionals are also a targeted area for us. It's really important to find partners inside the art market so that we can raise awareness from the inside. And then, of course, as you already heard, a big pillar of the project and one of the big communities of our project is the law enforcement agencies that are objective of a specific awareness raising campaign. And I think that this is my second to last slide, just to tell you concretely what we want to recommend. We want to take this expertise of ANCHISE that is rooted in interdisciplinarity. Everything that we do, we think that is important to do it together. Because together, of course, we are stronger, but also we learn from each other. We learn what we could do, and it's clear from what we see in the demonstrations and the experience and the demonstration that you also attended. The point is to receive feedback, and it's not just about the tools, it's about everything that we do, the creation of our networks. And that brings to the second point, the data, that is the cultural data and also other types of data that we can leverage to prevent and recognize when illicit trafficking and looting is happening. It is fundamental. It is fundamental at European level, is a very important topic because it means gathering, first of all, this kind of data, standardize it, the creation of interoperability in this data, so meaning everyone can use it. So it's a huge question that is also connected to a lot of the things that are happening in the EU right now, funding specifically for the European Cloud for Cultural Heritage, as Valentina this morning talked about, also the Common Data Space for Cultural Heritage. So this big infrastructure where we're going to have data, we're going to have the elements we can take from, but we need to talk about it and to find good ways to leverage this whole ecosystem. And then the final point, which is one of the what we were inheriting from the Nature project, which is as it has been presented today as the ancestor of the ANCHISE project, the creation of a European competence center. These words that can seem a little bit vague. In these words rely really what the ANCHISE project is about. I was telling you, we are in this together, and in order to be in this together, really at European level, we need space where we are collected, and we are specifically focused on this. So this competence center can take various forms, but the point for us is that there should be a pilot phase for this European competence center, bringing together the different communities, experts from different domains that are working together for the common objective. And then the pilot phase could be perenized in an organization. But we are gonna develop more on this specifically in the policy and professional recommendations, and also in the common recommendations with the rest of the project. I will leave you just with this. Community means also following us. It means that if you're not registered to our newsletter, you can register now with these QR codes, and I hope it works, because QR codes never work. And please give me a feedback afterwards if it worked. And also follow us on LinkedIn and X to be updated on whatever we do on the ANCHISE talks, on the publications, on the policy work we are doing. We are showcasing the actors of the demonstrations. We are doing interviews, we are listening from people, and we are showing it to the public. So really, it's not just about following what we are doing in ANCHISE, it's also about connecting with the domain, the specific field, and sharing knowledge all together. So follow us, register to the newsletter, and enjoy the rest of the symposium. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marco. Okay, so I think we can conclude our tiny symposium today. I would like to thank you again so much in vivo and online for participating in this event. I would like to thank all the end users again so much to have stayed with us for almost a week, participate in the demonstrations, engaged in the discussions. We had very vivid focus groups and very, very interesting feedbacks. And we are looking forward very much to presenting most of you the new versions of our tools in September, with probably also, we learned stuff, you know, we were very focused on having feedback on the tools, but we also got feedback on the demonstration organization. It was great, but it could even be better.
We're on time, which is wonderful. Lunch is in half an hour. So what we offer is that maybe because most of you will be flying like in few hours or rushing to the airport in 2 or 3 hours, we for once take advantage of the wonderful museum we're in and take the time to visit it for at least half an hour.
Yes, it is a small but very, very, very beautiful museum, incredible